Is all prepared then? Excellent. Then it is time for our friend to be invited to the shack. Go fetch him for me, would you? And be gentle, I would not have him damaged, if it can be avoided. I'll join you at the shack shortly. I have a few last things to prepare in the sanctuary.
What is the music of life?
Silence, my brother. "17 Suns Height, 4th Era 202. Though dawn was about to break when I got to Falkreath, I was there early enough that none were yet awake in the Longhouse. I found a gap in the guards' rotations, snuck in, and made my way to the upper floor where the Jarl's housecarl was still asleep. Politics is a dirty game, Helvard. Perhaps you are fortunate enough to be in the simplest form of it, defending a man you honor and call friend. But that makes you a target, nevertheless. You might have lived longer if you had stood aside. Instead, you die to make way for someone else's plans, or to make a statement. Whatever it might be, this is the risk you signed up for when you became the Jarl's housecarl. I do not apologize for what I have done. Helvard, housecarl to Jarl Sidgir of Falkreath, is dead. Hail Sithis. This time when I returned to the sanctuary in Falkreath, it was a low-energy greeting that awaited me. Astrid all but assumed that Cicero was dead with minimal input from me, which made it easy to imply the jester's death without actually saying he was. Not that I would have hesitated to lie, especially when I could hear Astrid lie to me as well. Nothing she said was wrong, I suppose, but I could see something in her eyes, something being hidden from me. Something is afoot, and if I don't figure it out before she does it, it's going to get messy. The plan to strike the Emperor is back on track now. The Emperor is already on his way to Skyrim, and this will allow us, if I am quick, to get an almost perfect way to strike at him. Gaius Maro had already arranged for a quite famous author and cook to serve as the Emperor's personal chef. The thing about this chef, the gourmet, is that nobody knows who he or she actually is. Well, almost nobody. Festus Krex found a copy of the gourmet's cookbook signed to a friend. Anton Verrain, the chief cook in Markarth, knows who they are. So there are 3 steps to this strike left. First, find Verrain, get the identity and location of the gourmet, and then kill him. Second, get to the gourmet, confirm the identity, then kill them, and hide the body. The harder they are to find, the better, to give me more time. And then finally, the Emperor dies of food poisoning. Such a tragedy. I also got with Nazir and reported the completion of the 2 contracts he'd given me. The sarcasm and sardonic wit is gone now. He is a believer in my abilities. The backlog of minor contracts is gone, with one exception, which is now in my possession. He claims it's the hardest one yet. I beg to differ. I've infiltrated the Wed Wave before, and killing her captain, Saphir, will be no chore at all. Along with her crew, if needed. Nazir doesn't appear to be aware that the ship hasn't left dock in forever, certainly not since I got to Solitude for the first time nearly a year ago now. The crew is restless. For all I know, the contract is from them, or one of them, anyhow. Despite the target's location near where I will be killing the Emperor shortly, it seems only right that I take care of Saphir first, then deal with the Emperor and the gourmet later. I have a feeling things will get nasty after the Emperor is dead, and I would prefer to have this minor thing done and out of the way when we get to it. The daylight hours saw me at the museum, sorting through some recent acquisitions and giving a tour or two. I don't bring the excitement and flash to the tours that Aryan does, but it seems my presence alone is enough to make the locals nearly swoon with delight. I cannot help but laugh. I was a beggar less than a year ago, and even without the gift of the dragon blood, the things I have done, while difficult, must not be out of the reach of anyone who makes the effort, surely. As the museum closed, I went up to the safe house, and minutes later was on the street, heading for the docks. The Red Wave is a familiar sight here now, and few pay the ship any attention, despite its open secret about being a pirate vessel. Getting below decks without being seen was the most difficult thing. The crew allows free passage to the ship during most hours, locking it only when they head off to sleep in the middle of the night. So it was that I waited until that door locked, then picked it and slipped below. The crew did not keep a watch during the evening, which means that tomorrow morning, only the crew's first mate will awaken. Given she is likely the one who commissioned the contract, I think she will be grateful. As for Saphir herself, well, she knew the dangers of a pirate's life. That includes, as captain, the risk of being killed by your own crew if you do not keep them satisfied. Nearly a year in port with no prizes. Yes, I'd say they were likely dissatisfied indeed. Saphir will be able to continue sailing the seas of the endless void now. Saphir, pirate captain of the Red Wave, is dead. Hail Sithis. 18 Suns Height, 4th Era, 202. The night was as dark as the inside of a bag. The cloud cover prevented any light from the moons from illuminating the terrain as I traveled back to Falkreath, and the rain added its own bit of challenge for Shadowmere. But we managed well enough to arrive at the sanctuary just before dawn. Nazir was already up and talking with Visara when I found him. I made my report about Saphir, and his jaw dropped. He hadn't expected I'd be back from the job so quickly, if at all. He claims that I now have his respect, something he doesn't give easily. Just as well. If I interpret Olava's vision correctly, he'll be one of those who follow me and Cicero after our purge. I'm still unsure how that is to be accomplished, but I will not think on it now. Sithis will provide, when the time is right. I was on my way back out heading for Markarth when I saw that Astrid was awake as well. I'm not sure what she is doing, but there was a furtive air about her. Something is coming, and she will be at the heart of it. I knew it, somehow. I turned away and left for Markarth. The mystery of just who exactly the gourmet is has been a question of some interest among those who care about cooking in the province and the Empire for a decent amount of time. Many names have been thrown forward as possibilities, all of them renowned chefs. There is an interesting thing, though, about all of those names. All of them were either Imperial, Breton, or Altmer, the last thing that anyone would have expected was that the gourmet would be, well, as an example, an Orzamer. Balagog Gro Nalab is the name, and his friend Varain claims he is still in isolation at the Nightgate Inn. Interesting place for an Imperial commander to hide such a one, but certainly not a problem for me. Indeed, hiding the body will be far easier than I had believed possible. The basement alone has seen little enough traffic that by the time the body is found, the Emperor's own corpse will be long cold. Perfect for our purposes. As for Varain, well, I woke him at a very early hour. I fear that the nap he is taking now may be a bit longer than is really healthy for him. A shame that. Anton Varain, cook for the Underkeep of Markarth, is dead. Hail Sithis. The gourmet could not have made this easier for me if he had tried. The Nightgate Inn is already out in the middle of nowhere, with few there who wish to draw attention to themselves in any way. I could almost have straight out stabbed him in the middle of the common room, and nobody would have cared in the least. It didn't come to that, however. The idiot had confined himself to the basement. All I had to do was follow him to a darker end of the hall, drain him completely, then stuff the body behind one of the mead barrels. Simplicity. I have the gourmet's writ of passage. The only one who knew who the gourmet was is dead, which means that it is almost time to serve the Emperor his final meal. One last trip to the sanctuary for any final informational updates, and then... and then the Brotherhood changes history once again. Balagog Gro Nalab, the gourmet, is dead. Hail Sithis. Word had already begun to come in about both Balagog and Anton Varain when I arrived back at the sanctuary. It seems that the old saw is correct. Bad news really does travel fast. One of these days I'll need to look into how that happens. At a guess, through some magic related to the way that the courier is able to find me anywhere at any time. But I digress. The stage is now set. Astrid has some last-minute instructions for me, most of which will be, I am sure, completely superfluous, and then it will be off to Solitude and Castle Dower. The Emperor of the Tamrielic Empire has arrived in Skyrim, and I hear he's famished. It's a hard job, ruling the Empire. Namira would love this setup, I think. Deception can bring great rewards, if you can stomach the means required. I swear it is not my imagination. Astrid is plotting something. The way she hesitates, just the barest bit every time she uses my title of listener, there is something else going on here. I don't think she'll risk the contract, so I doubt it's anything to do with this. But on my return, once it's all over... Focus, Moriden. This is the moment. I have a poison, Yaren root, to use on the Emperor. I have the way in. I have an escape route arranged for. Though it was Astrid who burned all her favors and blackmail material to secure it, she claims. All that needs be done now is go to Castle Dower and serve up a simply amazing meal. And then, well, the Emperor will be dead before dessert, which is a pity, because it's going to be delicious. I stopped for the briefest moments in Dragon's Bridge and bought a complete chef's outfit to better fit the part. I made use of the magics I learned in the wake of obtaining the tools of Kagranak to change my very appearance. Though I was still Dunmeri in overall appearance, I now looked nothing like myself. Though I had never met Commander Morrow, I wanted there to be no risk that anyone who saw me walking through the streets would think that I was the famous Dragonborn. No, this had to be as detached from my normal, pre-Brotherhood life as possible. He examined my papers and passed me through, directing me to the castle chef. He gave her name, but I make a point of forgetting it. She doesn't know it, but after this is all over, she will likely die as well. Her hands will be all over the meal we are about to create as well, and I find it unlikely they will allow her to survive the experience. I entered the castle and, as I had expected, was immediately and thoroughly searched for weapons. I don't carry them anymore, of course, and you can't search a person for magical knowledge. My dagger and, if needed, my bow were only a few short words away. They examined the ingredients I had brought with me as well, but none recognized the Yarin root. And then I was in. Though I have to admit, I could have sworn that a few of the men here were looking at me strangely, like they knew something about me and were trying to keep me from seeing that they knew. I began to have a very bad feeling about this entire setup. Every instinct in me is shouting that it is time to leave. But it is too late for that. All I can do is be as careful as possible. I met with the castle chef, and together we crafted the gourmet's signature dish. I added the Yarin as a secret ingredient. And then it was off to serve the Emperor and his guests. Apparently, this will be a mass poisoning. We entered the dining room, with the chef taking the lead in serving. I took up a position near the exit door, ready to make the run for it once the kill was confirmed. What I heard from the Emperor defied all explanation. I had heard that people could reason away anything, but every single thing that the Brotherhood has done in the last several weeks to draw him here, he explained them away as either the stupidity of youth, hot tempers, or anything except what they were. A person that stupid is in charge of the Empire. We're doing the Empire a service by removing this idiot. I'm not sure who his heir is at the moment. Likely someone almost as stupid. Hopefully one who will be a little more intelligent about how he views events around him. The meal was served. Like everyone else in here, I held my breath, though for very different reasons than everyone else present. The Emperor jokingly claimed the right of first taste. This one decision may have been the most beneficial choice the man has ever made in his life, as it just saved the lives of every other single noble in the room. The taste, he said, was amazing, and everything he had hoped for. Then his head flopped backwards and he expired before the stunned and shocked looks of everyone present. The Emperor of Tamriel, Titus Mede II, is dead. Hail Civis. That, of course, was when the time to run came. Heads and eyes turned toward me, and when I heard steel being drawn, I was out the door along the escape path prepared for me. I had barely set foot on the bridge when legionnaires boiled out of the opposite side, along with Commander Morrow. I stopped cold in my tracks, and as he spoke, everything fell into place for me. I knew what had happened, why it had happened, and I knew who had made sure it happened. The Emperor of Tamriel is not dead. I had killed a decoy, a body double. They'd known this attempt was coming. How? Because someone in the family had come to him and made a deal. They get to kill me and claim that they prevented an attempt on the real Emperor's life, and the Brotherhood gets to continue existing. Only one person would make that deal. Only one person would be so concerned about me and my prestige afterwards, about my current position, and about my threat to their own, that they would dare do this. Astrid, what have you done? I knew you were getting desperate, but you would jeopardize the first legitimate contract we've had from the Night Mother in decades? Even worse, you would trust a member of the Oculatus to keep their word and not destroy the Brotherhood when it has a chance and get 2 major coups? You trusted the father of the man we killed as part of this plot. You are an idiot, Astrid. And with any luck, you'll be dead by the time I get back to the sanctuary to try and save it from the disaster you just brought upon us. And then Morrow stopped talking. And it was, again, time to fight and run. After eliminating the troops on the bridge, I took a massive gamble. They knew that I was an assassin. I hoped they hadn't known that I was a vampire as well. I leaped from the bridge, transforming into my vampire lord form as I did. Down I went, and my wings kept me from taking any damage as I reached the docks of Solitude and began to run from the waterfront. Guards and legionnaires were everywhere, pre-alerted to my possible escape attempts, but it was clear they hadn't expected me to get this far, and they certainly had not expected a vampire. I did not stop for them. I ran for Shadowmere, and together we sprinted for the Falkreath Sanctuary. When I arrived, there were carts of oil everywhere, a clue as to how they would destroy my brothers and sisters. The 4 they had left as a rear guard did not survive my attacks. I was about to head in when I saw a body pinned to the tree near the entrance to the sanctuary. Dozens of arrows had pierced the gnarled old man, but I recognized Festus Crex's corpse almost instantly, the one member of the family who had tried to return to the old ways was the first to have been cut down in the Brotherhood's defense, destroyed by a force that even his magic could not stop. Festus Crex, Master Mage of the Dark Brotherhood, is dead. Sithis, receive thy servant. My bow in hand, I entered the sanctuary. Over my head, smoke billowed from deeper in the caves that had served as our home. 2 of the Oculatus were conversing as I entered, speculating as to which of the Brotherhood had been the traitor. They don't know who she was. And after I put a pair of arrows into them, they never will either. The upper room was still unburnt, but I could see the smoke getting thicker and hints of the flames down the stairs in the main room. Perhaps some of them are still alive. The enemy has not completed their destruction here yet. We can still save the people of the Brotherhood, even if we could never again return to this place afterwards. Just before I plunged down into a nightmare, and the heart of the flames enveloped me, I saw another body. Vizara, the last of the Shadow Scales, is dead. Sithis, receive thy servant. The fighting was still ongoing. I heard the snarls and howls of Arnbjorn as he took on 3 more of the enemy agents. I tried to get to him, to place myself in a position to shoot his opponents, but between the smoke getting in my eyes and the bright flames ruining my ability to see anything, it was too late. The mighty husband of Astrid has fallen. I hope he never knew that it was his wife who had killed him, even if the weapons and hands that wielded them were not hers. I never cared for him, but he was loyal. More than can be said for his beautiful wife. Arnbjorn, werewolf assassin of the Dark Brotherhood, is dead. Sithis, receive thy servant. An explosion rocked the caves just ahead of me. Again, I arrived just moments too late to save another sister. The explosion killed both Gabriella and Babette's giant pet spider. A spider in the flames, and Gabriella crushed by a flying stone seat. Gabriella. Another loss on the order of Festus Craigs. One who would have followed my lead had we acted sooner. Instead, another soul to lay at Astrid's feet, another debt to call due. Rest, sister. I will avenge you. I will avenge all of us. Gabriella, Dunmeri archer, mage, and blood artist, is dead. Sithis, receive thy servant. Nazir lives. In the dining room, the Red Guard held off 3 attackers, taking the first one's head just as I entered, his giant curved blade catching the flames on its side before glowing slick with the red blood of those who faced him. The second took the blade in his ribs, and the sword stuck fast. Had my own arrow not been nocked and ready, the final one would have killed Nazir. Instead, my arrow sprouted from his throat, and Nazir was free to wrench his own blade free. We didn't have much time to talk. I confirmed what he had already guessed, that we had all been betrayed, and though he briefly had considered me as the prime suspect, me saving his life moments before had convinced him otherwise. We needed to get out. The flames were growing worse. We pushed forward, hoping to find the last members of the Brotherhood before we were forced out. Babette, we could save. Astrid, I would save as well, so I could make her suffer ever greater afterwards. Babette's rooms were engulfed in flames. As a vampire myself, I knew that was likely a death sentence. I almost jumped through those flames to look anyhow, but before I did, I heard the Night Mother's voice once again. The sanctuary is lost. And she told me that there was only going to be one way out for me. I was to embrace her once again, as I had on the day when she had given me the binding words to pass on to Cicero. I trusted that she was right, but I had to try to get Nazir out if I could. I would not betray him now. We entered the chapel and found it blocked. No sooner had we entered when the ceiling collapsed behind us, trapping us both in the room. We looked at each other, sharing a glance that said everything that needed saying. We both knew we were dead. Except, of course, that I had my own instructions. Her coffin was at the other end of the room, right next to the giant glass window. I smiled, understanding the plan. I turned back to Nazir, told him to follow my lead, and then before he could say anything at all, I rushed into the waiting arms of the Night Mother. The coffin tipped. The doors came closed behind me, and the sound of shattered glass and the feeling of falling surrounded me. There was a hard crunch. One last word I heard from the Night Mother, and I did as I was told. Sleep.